Choose life, choose a job, choose a career, choose a family, choose a fucking big television, choose washing machines, cars, compact displays and electrical tin openers.
I first read the book the Christmas after we finished Shallow Grave, which was 1993. A friend gave it to me on the plane coming back to Glasgow for Christmas, and I don't read that many books, and I suppose if you're a film producer you think everything you read could be a film, and I thought this would be wonderful if you could make a film that was this different, as this is a piece of literature, different from most literature, that was this original, this exciting, this energetic. And I gave it to John and Danny.
And I read it and it was like, it's just a new voice, you know, and whenever you come across one, you read loads of things and just every so often you come across a voice that's unique, new, disturbing, irrational, unpleasant, wonderful. It was all those things. I think it's a poetic masterpiece.
I wanted to remain faithful to the tone of the novel, because I thought that's really the whole point in doing it. If you're not going to do that, then might as well forget it. But in terms of detail, I thought, well, we've got to be sort of free to change the minor details in order to make it work.
You have to say that you've written a book and that somebody's making a book of the film or a film of the book or a play of the book or whatever, and the whole point of it, the exciting part of it is that it's going to be transformed in some way. And the more, from my own point of view, the more kind of transformation, the better.
We felt we had two choices. There was either to sort of go through the Robert Altman shortcuts way and have lots of overlapping stories, rather like the novel is, or we could do something and try and make a more traditional sort of linear narrative of some kind, which is what we tried to do, make it the story of the lead character, Renton.
Renton's he's hooked on smack when we find him at the beginning of the story, and then he comes off it and on it and off it and on it twice, maybe 3 times. And he's kind of the thinker. He thinks about everything, and we hear most of his thoughts through voiceover. Usually quite quiet in the background of the scenes, usually a bit distant from the rest of the boys. He's slightly more judgmental attitude about what they get up to than maybe they do themselves.
Doesn't it make you proud to be Scottish?
It's shite being Scottish! We're the lowest of the low! The scum of the fucking earth! The most wretched, miserable, servile, pathetic trash that was ever shot into civilization! Some people hate the English, I don't. They're just wankers! We, on the other hand, are colonised by wankers! Can't even find a decent culture to be colonised by! We're ruled by effete arseholes! It's a shite state of affairs to be in, Tommy, and all the fresh air in the world won't make any fucking difference!
If it isn't funny, it won't work really, because it's got to be uplifting. There's something uplifting about it, and it's kind of ironic and curious that it should be uplifting given the subject matter that they're dealing with. And that's why we haven't taken a completely realistic approach to it, because again, the book is full of hints at surrealism, and that's one of the things that we tried to push a bit further in this.
Got an absolutely outstanding cast, especially the 5 guys who are playing Renton, Begbie, Sick Boy, Spud and Tommy.
Useless motherfucker! That's what she called me! I said to her, look, I'm sorry. The these things happen. Let's put it behind us.
I see Tommy as just, as I say, potentially just going to be a normal straight guy. He's into going to the gym, he's into shagging mainly, that's his main thing. He's into shagging Lizzie, his girlfriend, and I suppose he's seen as the straightest out of the 5 of them.
Spud is a narcotics enthusiast, a very gentle sort of variety. It's really very calm. He sees everything in terms of like the feline world. He's sort of stuck in the 70s a bit. Got like a bit 70s damage.
Fuck off! That was cunt!
I play Sick Boy. which I think speaks for itself quite a lot, really. I mean, he is just beginning of the film. He's quite a, he's into a good time, and there's a very sick attitude on life.
Well, I play Begbie, Franco Begbie, who's I suppose can only be described as the main psycho of the piece. And he's a guy who is completely without any kind of principles, any kind of morals. He will stab, slash, bite, cut anybody who comes within 5 yards of him, really, who looks at him the wrong way. One of these kind of guys that you want to avoid in a dark night.
Are you kidding me? I'm not the type of cunt that goes looking for fucking bother, like, but at the end of the day, I'm a cunt with a pool cue and he could have a fat end in his puss anytime he fucking wanted, like. So squares up, casual, like. What does a hard cunt do? Or a so-called hard cunt? Shites it, puts down his drink, turns and gets the fuck out of it. And after that, what again was mine.
You can't keep going around just telling people through the media, through art, you mustn't do drugs because they'll ruin you. Because there are a lot of people exploring them themselves to certain relative degrees of safety, And I think that's one of the joys about the book, is that it tells you the truth about the other side. It doesn't flinch to tell you what can happen to you, but it also tells you just how extraordinary these drugs can be.
Well, it's funny, we did 2 weeks rehearsal and we learnt a lot about drugs, and we worked with the Carlton Athletic boys in Glasgow, ex-junkies who we played football with them, and one of the men came in to show us how to cook up heroin and stuff. We had cookery classes with them and stuff. And after the 2 weeks, it was like heroin wasn't a big deal anymore,
It gives us complete control to create our own sets. That's the thing. It gives us control over the space. We can film day for night, night for day. We can play around with the realism. We didn't want to make the film, as the book isn't, of Trainspotting, isn't a completely realist read. The film won't be either. It plays around with colours, perceptions, and various different things.
If you look at the pictures, the real pictures of Muirhouse and the schemes during the 80s, and they are so depressing to look at. We didn't want to do that. We wanted to take a different option because the book is brighter than that to read. It's more enjoyable. It isn't a depressing experience, and we didn't want the film to be a realistic, depressing experience. When we started off, we tried to say, when is this set, And if you look at the book quite carefully, it's really actually written from early, mid-80s through really to the late 80s. And what we tried to do in the film is make it stand for a period of time running from kind of the mid to late 80s up to now, really. And we've tried to illustrate that, not with signs going up saying 1987, but actually with pieces of music.
And with that, Mark Renton had fallen in love.
What a penetrating goal that was!
I haven't felt that good since Archie Gemmell scored against Holland in 1978.